sister who is 20 years old now and a younger brother who's 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're the oldest daughter.
I am the oldest.
And so this is a big influence on your younger siblings as well, huh?
Well, I hope so. I hope that we can all learn from one another.
Yeah.
They teach me a lot.
Oh, yeah?
And hopefully I can influence them for the greater as well.
Wow. Okay, so please tell me about your childhood. Now, some of these social issues that you're involved with now, does this have anything with your family life or childhood life at all?
Yeah, they did. The biggest thing, I touched on a little bit last time I was here, but I'll elaborate it more on it now. Growing up as a child, you know, I was always very curious. I'm a nerdy kid at heart. I love reading. I love learning. I love reading new books, watching documentaries, learning about the world that we live in. And so one night when I was about 12 years old, I was watching this one documentary, and it was called Bangkok Girl.
Okay.
And it told the story of a young woman who was trapped in the sex trade of Bangkok, Thailand. And she said something that has literally changed my entire life.
Wow.
There was this one moment where she looked directly into the camera lens. And it was like we were just sitting across the table from one another, like you and I right now. And she said, "No one cares about me."
Wow.
And she just brushed it off like, oh, but it's no big deal. And I just thought, well, how can you just make a comment like that? Like there's no person in the entire planet that cares about you or values you at all as a human being, and you feel completely, utterly worthless. And I just that I can still hear her voice and the look on her face, it completely changed everything, because right away my heart just went out to this woman. You are somebody who is valuable. You are someone who is worthwhile. You're someone who is precious. And that was something. As the years went by, this topic of human trafficking, you know, the buying and selling, the exploitation of human beings, was something that kept coming back again and again and again. I didn't go looking for it, but it just kept coming in my way.
Yeah.
And it was easy for me to say, well, that's Thailand.
Okay.
Or that's another part in the world, and I live in Canada, that doesn't affect my life. But then I found out about 6 years ago, when I moved into a new community, that a neighbor of mine that lived just down the street from where I live with my family, their daughter was trafficked at 14 years old.
Oh, wow.
And she was lured into prostitution by a trafficker who posed as a boyfriend. And she was trapped in there and exploited. And she was sold on a regular basis. And so all of a sudden, this wasn't something that I could just dismiss. This was something that was literally happening not only in my country, but in my backyard. And I believe very strongly that not only are we held accountable for our actions, but we're accountable for what we know about and then choose to turn and look the other way. I choose to ignore it, even though I know it's happening. So I knew about human trafficking. I'd known about it for a long time. And I felt very convicted that this is something that I need to stand up and I need to do something about. I need to be part of the solution. I can't be a bystander anymore, but I can be part of the solution to actually seeing human trafficking end.
Yeah. Wow, and this is in Canada.
This is in Canada, but it's in every country in the world. This is a huge global issue. There are documented cases of human trafficking in 161 countries worldwide. You know, and this is, when we're talking about human trafficking, we're talking about essentially modern-day slavery. It's the buying and selling of human beings for the exploitation, for the profit of the traffickers, where they will take this person and they will buy and sell and rent them for forced labor, for forced prostitution, for other services, domestic servitude, and many other forms of modern-day slavery, where these people are not able to walk away and they're treated as commodities.
Now, this is something you've got involved in as after your title or way before?
Way before.
Wow.
A long time before. It was something, like I said, that I really believed that I had to do something about it, because I knew about it. You have to do something about it. It's all of a sudden part of, it's like I'm responsible for it.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you teach kids at school, that if they're seeing somebody who's being bullied, they have to stand up because it's wrong. And if you're silent when you see somebody mistreated that way, you're taking the side of the bully.
Sure.
And so I really strongly believed that, you know what, I know about this, I have to do something. And so that started long before I was Miss British Columbia, long before I was Miss Canada. And when I had the opportunity as Miss British Columbia, as Miss Canada, when people were asking me what I thought about things, and I had this platform to be able to say things and have it actually make a difference and an influence, I knew that it was too important not to talk about human trafficking, because this is people's lives that are at stake.
Sure. Now you're going around and speaking about this. So tell me some of the things that the works that you're doing. You've been to Thailand and Cambodia too, and this involved with some kind of project of this that you're doing. So tell me some of the things that you did physically and things like that you've been doing.
Well, I do the work that I do is a variety of different things. Primarily, it's prevention and awareness. So spending a lot of time educating parents, teachers, students, government officials, law enforcement, churches, community centers, in prevention and awareness, because, you know, there's the saying that knowledge is power. But knowledge is empowering. And when you can let people know about this, then they can protect themselves and they can protect their loved ones. So a lot of what I do is prevention and awareness. I've spent a lot of time working with different aftercare homes. There's an aftercare home that I support in Canada that's in Vancouver. There are aftercare homes all around the world that I have visited, that I've actually spent time with the victims of human trafficking. People who this has happened to them. They have walked through this, but their lives are now, they've been rescued and they've exited, whether it's forced labor or whether it's forced prostitution in red light districts or massage parlors or karaoke bars. They've been rescued out of this and now their lives are being restored. And it's freedom. People deserve to live in freedom, you know? And so I spend a lot of time in prevention, awareness, aftercare. I spent a lot of time too working with government. So I spent the last 5 months of 2011 living and working in Ottawa and working on Parliament Hill and spending a lot of time in government as we worked to improve and strengthen Canada's anti-trafficking legislature. You know, Canada's come a long way. A lot of people don't think, oh, human trafficking happens in a country like Canada? It's such a developed nation.
Right, Vancouver?
Right, but it does. Human trafficking happens, no country in the world is immune. If it happens in Canada, if it happens in Thailand, if it happens in Eastern Europe, if it happens in Korea, if it happens in Australia, it's happening all over the world. And so I spend a lot of time working with governments to say, how can we be part of combating human trafficking? How can we be leaders? How can we stand up and really value people's lives? We are, as elected representatives, as leaders of our countries, we have been entrusted with the position and the influence and the power to really be responsible for these people, to take care of these people and protect them and really have our country